Hello and welcome to Stitch in Time. Today is Wednesday, January 9th, 2019, and this is episode 85. My name is Carol and I'm known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry. The show notes for this and every episode can be found on the blog and also in the episode thread in the Ravelry group. If you'd like to get in touch, please do so via private message on Ravelry by leaving a comment on YouTube or by leaving a comment in the group, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Hi everyone, Happy New Year! I can't believe we're already into the second week of 2019. I hope you all had a lovely holiday season and that the new year is treating you well so far. As I was getting ready to podcast, I realized that I've been at this for 2 years now. My first episode was January 6, 2017. Wow! This podcast has just enriched my life so much. I really enjoy the creative aspect that it has brought to my life between doing regular episodes and Vlogmas and the odd special episode. Most of all, I love all the people that I have gotten to either meet online or in person because of this podcast. I just enjoy that interaction so much. So thank you all for the last 2 years, obviously for tuning in, because if you weren't watching, there'd be no point to this whole thing at all. And especially to any one of you who has reached out over the years, that it has meant so much to me. So yeah, thanks for sticking by me and supporting me these last couple of years, and I'm looking forward to another year podcasting. I really do enjoy it a lot. So it's been a couple of weeks since I talked to you last. It was just before Christmas, and I'm looking around and it's going to be a long one. I have a lot of things to show you and to talk about. I have several finished projects. I have lots of new cast-ons. I have some new acquisitions, both knitting related and otherwise. And I've been reading. I also have some KnitAlong prizes to announce and a new KnitAlong to talk about, or actually more accurately, a CraftAlong. So why don't you settle in with some knitting or crocheting or whatever it is you like to do, maybe a beverage of your choice, whether it be tea or coffee or something stronger. And just a warning, you might even want to watch this one in installments because I think it's going to take a while. I'm going to have a sip of tea to start, and I'll actually show you off one of my Christmas presents. This was a cup from my husband. It's a David's tea mug. You can see it has reindeer on it, and this reindeer has ornaments hanging off its antlers. This cup is actually really cool because it's a color changing mug. So for instance, this deer here and like this snowflake and some of the other snowflakes, they only show up when you have something warm in the cup, like tea or coffee or hot water, I guess. So it's kind of cool to watch the little things come and go. And I'm drinking a new to me tea called Kenyan Tinderet. That's how you spell it. It's just a black tea. They say most connoisseurs drink this as a little luxury after a good meal. Well, well, well. With its strong earthy flavor and light honey notes, we recommend trying it with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm not quite that fancy. I usually drink it mid-afternoon as it is now. And I just find it's a really nice kind of mellow black tea. So if you're looking for a new one, I highly recommend it. Wipe that lipstick off. So first things first, let's announce the Advent KnitAlong CrochetAlong winners. I have to say how much I enjoyed this KnitAlong. It was great to see so much action in the group. I've missed that. And not only interacting with all of you, but seeing you interact with each other really brought a smile to my face. So thank you to all of you who did participate in that lead up to Christmas. So as I showed you, there are these 3 project bags that I made as prizes. So the first one is green with kind of a pine coney bottom and a pine cone lining. And there's this one, blue background, the red bottom, and kind of has a blue toile lining to it. And then there's this white one, has a metallic silver bottom and a silvery metallic lining. So first thing I did was draw a winner from the finished projects thread. We had 6 entrants, and so I put numbers 2 through 7 into random number generator, and it chose number 4. And number 4 is Fiber Nymph, also known as Lisa. So congratulations, Lisa. You've won your choice of one of these 3 bags. You get first choice. So let me know which of these 3 bags you would like and send me your mailing info and I will get it off to you. Lisa knit a pattern called Favorite Scarf Ever. And if you were watching her Vlogmas episodes, you would have seen its progress in real time. It was a chevron scarf that went from kind of yellows and golds through greens to blues, and looked really nice when it was done. What was I going to say about that? Lisa has the 90% Knitting podcast if you're interested. So yeah, Lisa, let me know which one you want and I will get it sent out to you. So then I went to draw a winner from the chatter thread, and the qualifying posts were 2 through 126. And I figured I was going to have to draw a lot of numbers before I got to a post that wasn't me, but actually first time lucky, and it chose number 89, and that was Cats 6 or Jackie. And Jackie was knitting the buy-in shawl. I think it's Anna Dalby's Advent shawl that she was working on. And so, Jackie, why don't you send me a list of preferences from 1 to 3. And once Lisa's made her choice, I will use your list as a guideline to choose your prize. And then send me your mailing info and I will get that off to you as soon as I can. And then while I was drawing numbers, I thought, well, you know, I have 3 project bags. Why don't I draw another winner? We might as well have 3 winners. So I put 2 through 126 back into the random number generator. And again, it actually chose a post that wasn't mine. And that was 67, M. Everingham. So Marilyn, congratulations, you've also won a project bag. So I will send you one of these 3 after Lisa and Jackie have made their choices. So Marilyn did the Adventurer Shawl by Amba O'Brien. So congratulations to all of you, and thanks so much to all of you who participated in the KnitAlong. As I say, it was just great to see so much life in the group. We haven't had that for a while and I've missed it. I enjoyed the Advent Cal so much that I decided I wanted to keep the chatter going. And so I came up with the idea for a new cal. And in this case, it's CAL, which is standing for CraftAlong. So what got me thinking about it is, this is one project I want to make this year. It's the Through Stone sweater by Bristol Ivy. And it can be knit as either a pullover or a cardigan. And I've decided I want to do the cardigan version. But that requires steeking. And I've never steeked before. And I thought, well, it's the new year. It's a good time for a new challenge. And I thought there might be others out there who are thinking along the same lines. So I'm going to call this the New to You CraftAlong. And it's all about trying something new to you. So for instance, it might be something within a craft that you're familiar with. So like I certainly am familiar with knitting, but I've never steeked. So maybe you'd like to try cables, or knitting a sweater, or knitting a pair of socks, or doing color work. Perhaps you knit, but you'd like to try and learn how to crochet. Perhaps you have sewn garments but never attempted quilting. Or maybe you quilt all the time but you've never sewn a garment. Or maybe you want to learn how to cross stitch or weave or do some sort of other craft. Come and let's share our experiences with each other. So I was thinking I don't think this cowl really lends itself to a finished projects thread. It's more about the process in this case than the completion. So I thought what I'd do is just open a chatter thread where we can talk about what is new to us and show our progress along the way, and perhaps people who have already tackled that challenge can lend some wisdom to those of us who haven't, and can certainly give us encouragement. And so I haven't determined what the prizes will be or how many prizes there will be, but I'm going to go ahead and open up the thread and I hope you'll join me there. For now, I'm going to have the KnitAlong running from January 1st to February 28th of this year. Now obviously January 1st has already passed, but if you've started this project since January 1st, go ahead and talk about it. Show it to us. Let's talk about it. I'm going to say anything before that, it's about a new year, new to you. So I'm going to exclude projects that were started prior to that time. And we'll see how it goes. Perhaps we'll extend it into March if people are wanting to do that. But for now, I'm going to kind of have the time frame January 1st to February 28th. So look for that thread in the Ravelry group and come by and show us what's new to you. I have some things that are new to me and they are finished projects. So first thing, I did show these I've done on my last Vlogmas post, but I have washed and blocked them. Well, I've worn them and washed and blocked them since that time, and they are my Christmas pie socks. I'm going to put them this way because they are different. The stripes are different on them. So this is just a plain vanilla sock with a traditional heel flap and gusset, worked from the top down. And the yarn is Fiber Nymph Dye Works Bounce Base in her Christmas Pie colorway. And all of her pie colorways are dyed with the number of rounds corresponding to the numbers in pie. So 3.14 are the first, so you get 3 rounds of red, 1 round of green, and 3 rounds of sugar, or 4 rounds of sugar cookie, and so forth. Depending on your gauge. My gauge is probably different than hers. I think sometimes I got 4.5 or 5 instead of 4, but it doesn't really matter. The idea is that the stripes all kind of come out with no predictability unless you're a mathematical genius and you know all these numbers of pie off by heart. Anyway, they were super fun to knit in the time leading up to Christmas, and I was thrilled to get them done by Christmas so that I could wear them. So that's my would be my last finished project actually of 2018. And once I finished those, I needed, I didn't finish these in 2018, but I continued working on them. I picked them up again after I finished those Christmas pie socks, and these are my Ocean Sunset socks. The yarn is Gauge Dye Works Classic Stripe in the Ocean Sunset colorway. This yarn was a gift from Susan, and just aren't they beautiful? They turned out so nice. So these have been washed and blocked too. So I once again did a top-down sock, 64 stitches, and this time I did an afterthought heel, and I actually got quite a ways down the foot before I decided to do the heel, and that was because I wasn't sure what color I wanted to make the heel. Often when I do an afterthought heel, I will divide this stripe that's going to land at the instep in half, and I did the same here. And I will often insert the color that this stripe is knit from and work from it to whatever color happens to come out. But in order to do that, I had to pull off quite a bit of yarn, and I really didn't want to waste it. I wanted to keep what was left over intact, and so I just started knitting with the color that was at the end of the ball. In this case, it was purple and it went into a different blue. And I'm happy with them. I don't mind that at all. In fact, I really, really love these socks. I haven't worn them yet, but I look forward to doing that. And so they are first finished project of 2019, actually. So thanks again, Susan. I love this yarn, and I love knitting on this project. Made for great travel knitting over the holidays and visiting knitting, all that kind of stuff. It was good plain stockinette, didn't have to think too much. I'm just going to try not to jiggle the camera. I'm going to put these down also. Okay. So the other night I'd been working on another project with lots of plain stockinette and decided I needed a bit of break from that. And so I pulled my Nouveau Bohemia hat back out. I had cast this on at the beginning of December and hadn't gone very far. I think about not even two repeats, and then left it off. Didn't work on it over the holidays at all. So this is a pattern by Carolina Carvalho Cross, and the yarn is Malabrigo Rios in 842 Illusion, and I love, 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 love this yarn, and I really think the hat turned out cute. So the pattern comes with 3 options: basically a beanie, I guess is what, I think that's how she phrases it, but a regular hat. This is called a beret, this style, and then I think it's extra slouchy. And it all has to do with the number of repeats that you do on the hat of the pattern. So I chose the second one, the beret size, and it turned out exactly how I was hoping it would. So I did a alternating cable cast on. I had Dunder Knit. I'm going to forget the name of her podcast again. Knitting Vicariously. She had been going on and on about this cast on to use with ribbing, and I really like what the edge that it gave. So I totally would recommend it too. So anyway, I just pulled this out the other night, finished it off. Hopefully that's getting it in frame. This is the kind of hat I like to wear with my curly hair, what you call beanies, or what I call a toque. Usually just squishes my hair down and just makes it all stick out funny, and I don't really like it. Wear something like a slouchy hat, a little bit softer, and suits my hairstyle better, because I can wear it back on my head a little bit. So anyway, that's my finished hat, and I'm happy to have a chance to wear it now. Hopefully that looks okay. The picture's really small, so I can't tell if I actually have hair sticking up there or not. So that felt good to get a few projects finished before jumping into some new ones. One project I had hoped to be finished by now is my Adventurous Wrap, which was my Advent project. And I finished all the knitting. I have been avoiding joining the two halves together. I decided that I would prefer to graft the edges together rather than do a 3-needle bind off as the pattern suggests. So that's holding me back a little bit. I need a block of time when I'm in the right frame of mind, and haven't been there yet. Part of what's, I think, also holding me back is I obviously goofed along the way, and I have one side that has 3 stitches more than the other. And so I'm going to have to incorporate those extra stitches into the grafting process. I would think I could do it by just, instead of running the needle through one the yarn through one stitch, I will just do it through 2 at a time. I don't think it's going to be that difficult, but it is long, quite a number of stitches, and it's going to be a long process. So I just haven't had, like I say, the brain space for that. So there's the Adventurous wrap. It's constructed of, let's see if I can find the schematic. Hopefully you can see this. It's constructed of 2 triangles that run opposite to each other, and you graft along this common line. It's hard for me to see how that's showing up on the camera. Hopefully it works okay. So as I mentioned, I did finish the 2 sides. So here's my first one. Let me just make sure that's the right side. So I have bound off one edge of my triangle, and this is the edge I have to join to the other. So I have to say I'm very happy with each individual half and how the colors worked together and faded, and I think they'll look okay together. I still have a little bit of reservation about that, but I'm not taking it out redoing it, so it's just gonna have to be okay. So here's the second one. I don't want to lose this off the needles. There's the second half. So there is quite a bit of the purple in my last few rows on this half, which makes me think that that will help to blend the 2 together. And my last color was also my first color, and it's this Ancient Arts Tea and Biscuits colorway, I think it's called. And so that's the yarn. I'll be joining these 2 edges. Let me see if I can hold it up in a way. It's not easy to wrangle, I must say. Let's see. Probably have these totally backwards. No, I guess that's how they're supposed to go. Let's see. It is hard to wrangle. Let's see. Can you tell I didn't rehearse this? There you go. So that gives you a sense of how they'll look together. So I think it'll be fine. It's just, like I say, finding that block of time when I'm in the right kind of mood to do it. So I'd like to think I could accomplish that before my next episode, because that's a project I'd really, really like to kind of, you know, get off my needles and call it done. My next work in progress is another pair of socks, because of course when you finish a pair you have to cast on a new one of stockinette socks. So I looked in my stash and I found this turtle pearl striped turtle toes in the City Girl colorway. And it is a self-striping yarn in these really pretty pinks and kind of a purpley colored and gold. So it's garbage day. You'll be able to hear the garbage truck in a minute across the street. So I have this much done on one sock. And just that far on the second. So I will be, as you can tell, knitting these at the same time but on different needles. And I have got to this point on this one, so now I'll get to that point on this one, and I'll just kind of alternate back and forth. I haven't decided yet what kind of heel I'm going to do. I might decide to do an afterthought, as I often do on self-striping, or maybe able to do a heel flap and gusset, because sometimes those work out well also if the stripes kind of pick up at the right spot. So that's a to be determined on those, but for now I can knit on them up till the heel, till it reaches the part where I need a heel, and then I'll have to make that decision. I may also have some coordinating gold yarn that I might just insert a gold heel, because it does have the little gold accents dividing every stripe, and so that might be a nice color to pop in there too. And then I decided 2 projects I really wanted to get done were the last 2 pairs of socks from Helen Stewart's Hand Knit Sock Society. There's the Hazelnut socks. That was sock number 5. And then Red Robin socks, which was the 6th and final pair. And I knit the first 4 from this collection, and I really, really want to complete it. So I had known what yarn I wanted to use for the Hazelnut socks for a long time. I had bought this last year at a yarn shop in Washington State last fall. Tolt Yarn and Company, I think is the name of the shop, in Carnation, Washington. And it is this magpie swanky sock in the Hells Bells colorway. And I think it's so funny because I didn't realize till I pulled it out what the colorway name is, and that Hells Bells is Helen Stewart's username on Ravelry. So I thought it was very fitting that this should go to knit one of her patterns. So it looks quite red when it's wound up, but it's actually knitting up with quite a bit of brown showing, which I think is good for hazelnuts. So I have completed the ribbing and the first motif on the right sock. And I think it's just the perfect yarn for these socks. I love how it's knitting up so far. And so I'm glad to finally have cast these on. I've had this yarn set aside for probably, I think since the pattern came out actually. I'm pretty sure it's one of those, when I saw the pattern, I thought, I know what yarn I'm going to use for that immediately. Now, the color on this printing is not quite the same as how this pattern looks on the computer. But you can see that Helen's chosen kind of a beige for the main part, and then she's added in red, toes and heels and cuffs. Doesn't actually show the heels on this picture. And I wanted to do something similar because it's meant to symbolize the robin that is, well, really a character in The Secret Garden, which is a lot of these patterns are based on. And I actually found it interesting when I was looking online at photos of English robins, because your robins in England are different than our robins here. Our robins here are actually a thrush that, because they have similar colors to an English robin, was kind of misnamed. So they're called American robins, but I think they're larger for one thing. And I was surprised to see how orangey the English robins are, and actually American robins are too. Their breast feathers are more of an orangey red than a true red. And I was surprised by how, to me, the English robins look very orange. So I had an idea of using orange with a beige or something, and didn't quite like the look of that. And then I was really picturing these socks in a tweed, and I went so far as to go on to KnitPicks and pick out a beige tweed with kind of an orangey red tweed to go with it. And then I thought, this is crazy, you have all this yarn, you don't need to order for this. So in the end, I picked out a true red and a gray. Close enough, right? I liked how these two looked together. So this is the, it actually is KnitPicks also. It's Dove Heather, stroll fingering, and this is Cascade Heritage. The color, it's red 5607. But really, if it comes right down to it, I prefer this combination to a real beige and orangey red. So I will have more incentive to work on them and actually wear them. So I cast those on yesterday and did a fair bit. And I really do like how they're turning out. So yay for knitting from stash and not feeling like I have to place a yarn order just for that. Because the thing is, if it's coming from the States, I wouldn't just order the yarn I needed for these socks because that wouldn't be enough to justify the shipping, and therefore I would have to order more stuff, and that's just getting ridiculous. And so I will love them just as much, if not more, in this color combination. So there. But the new project that I've been spending most of my time on is another version of So Faded by Andrea Mallory. Sorry, that's not in color. I think a lot of you are familiar with this pattern. I knit a purple and blue version last year that I really, really love. And so I've bought several sets of yarns over the past year with having in mind to make another one. And I actually cast one on with some yarn I recently acquired from Madeline Tosh in it's like a red and then a charcoal and red mix, and then the charcoal. That was sort of the fade. And I started it and I eliminated the garter stitch on the sleeves, and I did, instead of doing make ones along the raglan line, I actually did a yarn over on either side of the center stitch, so it just had a little bit of an open look. And it all was fine. I mean, it fit fine. It was going okay. I just wasn't 100% crazy with how the yarns blended, the first two colors. And so after doing about that much into the body, getting a really good look at it, I decided I wasn't happy with it. I took it all out. And I will use that yarn either for a sweater or a shawl, but it won't be for this sweater. So then I went and grabbed another color set that I had bought this summer with a fade in mind, and it was 3 colors of hedgehog fibers sock. And this is color A, the first, which is Vengeance. This is color B, which is Truffle. And then color C is Malice. Sounds really dark. Vengeance and Malice. But I guess you have a little truffle to lighten things up. When I think truffle, I think chocolate, not the other kind. Although I tried some truffle oil this fall when we were in Italy. It was very good. So anyway, I've got quite a lot done on this. I am well into it. So I did the whole beginning. I was very happy with how the second skein blended in. That's through here. Whoops. Blended in really well, and now I'm fully into the second color. Let's see if I hold it out this way, if you can get a good look. It's bright, it's colorful. I actually was contemplating blending in the other end of the skein on this color through here as I'm doing waist decreases, which are not called for in the pattern, but which I incorporated into my first version, and I really like. It was affecting how the colors were pooling. But I actually, I tried it on, decided, yeah, I want to go take it back a little. But then I was worried that if I blended in another end of it, that I could end up with either worse pooling or make it look quite a bit different than the beginning part of it. So I actually just started knitting again, but I just adjusted my tension slightly for the first couple of rounds, and that was enough to kind of redistribute some of the colors a little more, so I wasn't getting the kind of pooling I was not liking. So that's just a lesson for you that tension can make a big difference on a variegated yarn. And I know if I've made socks with variegated yarns and I don't like how they're knitting up to begin with, I'll sometimes either change the number of stitches or change the needle size or both, and that can have make a real difference on how they work. So this, just by loosening up my tension slightly after I picked up the stitches again, just made all the difference. And I'll see now I have just worked another set of decreases, and I'll be decreasing again, and I'm hoping that I'll continue to be satisfied with how that color knits up. If not, I might rip it right back to where I started it and then start blending two ends of the skein. I don't know, but hopefully I won't have to do that. So far so good. I think the third color will work really well because it picks up a lot of the same colors that are in this one. If I can bring it up. That's the two side by side. Hopefully with the light you can get a sense that it has the same purples and reddish purples, reds in there. Anyway, I think whenever you're using, when you're trying to fade yarns, it's always a little bit of an experiment because obviously they knit up differently than they look in the ball or the skein. But that's part of the, I think, pleasure of knitting something like this. It's the anticipation of how things are going to look as you go along. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. Every row I knit, I kind of am watching the colors and seeing how they play with each other. And I get a lot of pleasure out of that. Just going to take another sip. Yeah, you can tell my tea is cold because I've lost my other deer here and the snowflakes in that color. I don't think it's completely cold, but it's not hot anymore. Lukewarm at best. I might pause the camera here and go zap that. There, that's better. The deer's back. It's hot once again. It's rare that I get through a whole cup of tea without having to warm it up. So let's talk about acquisitions. I received some things as gifts and others I actually purchased. So I'll show you my yarn first from my daughter Jessica. This was a Christmas gift from Black Cat Custom Yarns in their Everyday Sock, and this is the Leaf on the Wind colorway. Now this was a club colorway she received. I think it was for September or October. And I know when I saw it, I really loved it. And she said she could see how much I liked it and just said these colors were more me than her. And so she tucked this into my Christmas gift. So I was happy, very happy to receive that. I actually thought about doing the hazelnut socks out of this skein, but I really liked the other yarn that I had chosen, and so I will use this for something equally as nice. And then the Fat Quarter Shop had a sale before Christmas. They were doing daily sales, and I had looked at some of their fabrics and finally pulled the trigger one day when they had this on sale. This is a layer cake from Moda called Lilac Ridge, and I've looked at this fabric collection for a while, and it's this beautiful purples and greens. Don't know, I don't want to take it apart. It goes well, not exactly the right colors and not exactly the same as in my bedroom, but close enough. I want to make a quilt that I'll put on our bed. I'll actually put it underneath our existing comforter, so it doesn't have to match exactly. I just love this collection, And so I'm going to do a quilt with that for our room, and then I bought this to use as quilt binding. I thought the green would do well in our room. And then I don't remember seeing this before on a layer cake. It's got all these ideas for how you can cut them up to use them. I don't know what I'm going to do yet as far as patterns go and how I'm going to use them, but I just decided to take advantage of the sale. And I also bought some other fabric, which I won't show you now. But this is going to be a project for the new year, is another quilt. But first, I have to finish my Paris quilt that I showed you a couple of months ago. All I need to do is hand stitch around the binding, and then it's done. And I'm kicking myself that I haven't sat down and taken the few hours that I need to take to finish that and get it off my list. It's sort of like the adventurous wrap. I need to be in the right frame of mind and have a block of time. So that's another one of those projects I'm really hoping to tackle and kind of wind up, you know, thinking of them as last year's projects that I really wanted to, you know, finish. I had a nice mail day yesterday. If you have been looking in the Ravelry group, you may have noticed some advertisements at the bottom for Ocean Wind Knits and their group of 7 sock club that's coming up this year. And the group of 7 is a group of Canadian artists that have a very distinct look to them. And so Lori, the yarn dyer, is going to use them as inspiration. And you can get either sock yarn, I think fiber, I'm pretty sure, or you can get sock blanks. And I've decided to get sock blanks. So I paid for a 3-month subscription to that. So while I was doing that, of course you can't just order that. You have to buy other things too. You don't have to, but I love her yarns. I mean, Lori is a friend of mine. We used to work together when she lived here in BC, but she's now in Ottawa actually. And so I have, you know, not just a fondness for her work, but a fondness for her. Anyway, I love her yarn dyeing. You know, if nothing ever pools, she's got this really nice technique. So I'm a sucker for a fade set. So I ordered this mini skein set, and so there's her card for that. And then she also had a kits for this shawl, Aurora's at Night. That's like the Northern Lights, and this is the beautiful yarn that goes with it. It's called Northwest Territories. That's up in the Canadian North, and so that definitely see the Aurora Borealis up there. So anyway, purchased that too. And then she sent her card with a little hockey sticks stitch marker. Very Canadian, as I said to her. So there's her card. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to, I think at the end of January, I think is when the first shipment is for the sock club. So definitely I'll share that with you when I get it. And then speaking of stitch markers, I did ask if I could share her name, so I won't, but you know who you are. I received this really cool stitch marker or progress keeper from one of our viewers who very kindly sent it to me. She said it reminded her of me, and it is a little miniature book of Agatha Christie's The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. And if you've been watching for a while, you know I'm reading my way through my collection of Agatha Christie books, and so that was just awesome. So thank you. You know who you are. Thank you so much. Of course, I've already thanked her in a note, but Thank you, thank you. Love it. Can't wait to use it. I've been saving it. So now I can take it off of here and use it. Okay, so that's it for acquisitions. I have a couple of other mugs that I received, and you'll see those over the coming weeks, I'm sure. But that's it for yarn and stuff. So it has cooled off a little, so I've put my tulamine shawl on. I did this as a mystery knit along with Sweet Georgia yarns back in the fall, I guess. I've actually got quite a bit of use out of it. It lives on my couch, and quite often in the evening I will wrap it around me. So I did, I have been doing some reading, actually, a fair bit the past couple of weeks. On New Year's Eve, I finished The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. I loved this book. I love Kate Morton anyway, and I thought she did a really, really good job with this book. As my daughter Jessica, who I borrowed this from, and Marilyn, who's a member of our group, both mentioned that it had a surprise ending, and I also was quite surprised by the ending. I didn't see that coming. So I just thought she did a really good job. Although, Marilyn, I'm going to have to PM you because I don't want to give it away in case someone else reads it, but there's one part of that ending I had a little bit of trouble with, so I'll have to see what you think. And then, as planned, with a gift card that my husband got for Christmas, he bought Kingdom of the Blind by Louise Penny for the Kindle. And so he's reading it right now, and I read it right after I finished Clockmaker's Daughter. And also really, really liked that one. I had a hard time putting it down, so it didn't take me long to work my way through it. That is the latest in the Inspector Gamache series by Louise Penny. And then I recently listened to the latest by Reese Bowen in her Royal Spinous mystery. So I'm looking down because my notes are here. It's called 4 Funerals and Maybe a Wedding. And I wasn't sure what to expect. The narrator that has done the whole series so far for Audible sadly passed away, I think, this past year. And I wasn't sure how I would like the new narrator. You know, you get used to hearing the characters with certain accents or voices. But I think the new narrator did a really good job. She had big shoes to fill, and I think she did a really good job. And in some cases, I would have thought it was the same person. She definitely had listened to the previous narrator because she gave a lot of the characters the same sorts of accents and voices. And that really helped with the continuity of the series. So I guess that brings us to what's been going on in my life other than the knitting and the reading and such. The obvious is the holidays. We had a really good holiday season. It was very busy, something going on every day from, I think, the 24th till New Year's. And I was tired by the end of it, I have to say, but it was good, and I wouldn't trade it. So lots of family. So we spent Christmas Eve with my mom's side of the family, and then we had a bunch of my family here for Christmas dinner the next day. So we had 21 of us in all, including my young great nephew. So we actually saw them, I guess, 3 times over the course of a week. So we got in lots of baby time, especially my husband. My niece has dubbed him the baby burglar. He is well known for his love of babies, and if you can't find the baby, look for Cameron, because you'll probably find Cameron with the baby in his arms. So that was good. And then we had our kids and grandkids on the 27th over for like Appy's. We hadn't been able to all be together Christmas Day, so that was our chance to get together as a family. And so the kids, my kids all, and their significant others all draw names amongst each other, and then so they exchanged their gifts then, and we had things for the grandkids and the kids that hadn't received their things yet from us. So it was a nice evening too. And then we had a family brunch on the 29th over at my sister's place. And then the 30th, we dropped my sister and her husband from Toronto off at the airport on our way to the ferry. We went over to Victoria for 2 nights to visit Cameron's mom and his family there. So we saw his mom on the 30th. We went and saw her that afternoon. And Cameron's other brother we stayed with Cameron's brother and his wife. His other brother and his wife were coming down from Up Island to spend New Year's Eve together with all of us. Unfortunately, Cameron's mom caught a flu, and so she wasn't able to be with us New Year's Eve as planned. But the rest of us all gathered at my one brother-in-law and sister-in-law's house, had, again, Alpies and just a nice casual get-together. It wasn't large, but it was nice to all be together. And then we were able to do our gift exchange as a family, too. So definitely the whole Christmas season was spread out over a week. And then we headed home New Year's Day morning. Got the ferry right away, so that was great. And we were really happy to get home to a quiet house with no one here. We realized, other than about a half an hour on the 27th before our kids arrived, we hadn't been alone in our house together since December 21st. So it was welcome. Not that we minded having house guests, we just realized we hadn't had that time, just us there. So it was really nice, quiet evening. The next day I was supposed to have lunch with my best friend, but unfortunately she messaged me in the morning and told me she'd woken up with the flu, so we weren't able to get together. And as much as I was disappointed because I really wanted to see her, I felt like I kind of got a bonus day. And so I was able to wash sheets and towels and start to get the house back to some sort of normalcy. And so that's sort of what I've been doing over the course of the last week, bit by bit, getting the house back to normal. We took down the lights and all the Christmas decorations on the weekend and the tree. Oh, we spent a while, like probably an hour. We noticed our Christmas tree had one section of lights that was burnt out. And so we thought, okay, we'll fix that before we put the tree away for the year. And we changed every bulb that we could see, and we tried all sorts of things, and that little section of lights is still not working. So we just finally said, okay, worry about it next year. Wasted enough time on this. So hopefully we'll be able to solve that next year. I'm happy to report that my knitted gifts seem to go over well. My brother-in-law immediately took off the socks he was wearing and put on his new ones and showed them off to everyone. And several times said how much he liked the color of them and such. So that's always a good feeling. Ray seemed to like, well, she definitely liked her fingerless mitts. She didn't say much about her hat, so I'm not sure if she's a hat person. I'm not sure if she's a pom-pom person, but that's okay. I know she liked the mitts. And then Matt and his girlfriend Stephanie were happy with their new slippers. We went over to Matt's house one night, and Matt and Stephanie and I went next door to the laundry facility and worked on felting their slippers. And we gave them went through 3 loads. And they still weren't quite small enough, and they were running out of time, and we were running out of time. And so they finished them off, I think, the next day. And unfortunately, because it's a paid laundry, we couldn't just keep resetting the wash cycle the way I would do at my house. And so we'd get it through the wash cycle, we'd throw it in the other washer and start the wash cycle, but the other washer would have to finish the entire cycle of rinsing and spinning before it would allow us to do another cycle. So it kind of slowed the process down, but I think next time, despite their top loader doing a better job than my front loader, I think I'll probably end up felting them at my house the next time. So one not so great part of the holidays, I believe I had mentioned in my last podcast, or certainly during Vlogmas, our other son's girlfriend, her mom was in the hospital. She went in a couple of weeks before Christmas, and she'd had cancer for quite some time and wasn't expected to live very long. So it was a tough holiday season for Ray. She spent a lot of time with her mom in the hospital, and obviously it put a damper on any celebrations that she, attended and such. I was going to say surprisingly, but actually not so surprisingly, her mom passed away New Year's Day. When I say not so surprisingly, it's something her mom had expressed at the outset, that she wanted to live to see the new year, and she did. And I know when my father-in-law passed away from cancer, one of the members of the hospice team told us that people often sort of choose the date of their passing, that they will often find the will to live to a certain date. My father-in-law actually passed away the day before his birthday, for example. So yeah, it was in a way not surprising that that she made it to the new year, but it certainly made it tough on her family. She'd been in the hospital for about 3.5 weeks, so it was a tough time for them. But Grace seems to be doing well. She went back to work this week, and Colin said she's doing okay. So the service for her mom is not this coming weekend, but the next. Yeah. Sorry, trying to get it straight in my head. So of course we'll attend that. So here we are, 2019. I think a lot of us at this time of year look ahead to the new year and set some goals for ourselves, whether we call them resolutions or not. I don't personally like the word resolution. I think of something as a resolution as something you make or break, where I think of a goal as something you strive to achieve. And so I call mine goals. I'll just share a few with you. I think a lot of us start thinking about health this time of year. I'm no different. After all the eating and drinking that takes place during the holiday season, I think it's natural for us to set a goal to be healthier in the new year, and I am no exception. So we were at curling last week, and my hip was locking up as I was sweeping, and then my knees were sore the next day, and not in my normal, sometimes my right knee gives out on me, but in a I am getting old and decrepit sort of way. I've never had knees that hurt like this in that way before. So it's time to get back to doing some walking and some exercising. And I always think of drink less and eat more healthfully. So those are my goals for 2019. They're no different than my goals for 2018 or 2017, but I really do hope I can stick to that. I'm not setting a specific, lose X amount of pounds or exercise this many times a week or this many calories a day. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just trying to be mindful of moving more, eating less, drinking less. Knitting wise, I've already mentioned I want to knit that through-stone sweater and do a steek. Also, I was looking at all the projects that I have on the needles, and one I really, really want to finish this year is my Celesterium. It's a circular shawl that has beads beads and yarn overs that are meant to represent the solar system, the northern hemisphere, the constellations. That's the word I'm looking for. And I think I'm about halfway through, and I'd really like to finish that this year. So that's one knitting goal. Another is, I talked about this last year, I have a number of patterns. It's the Croissant collection from Lori Law of Ocean Wind Knits, and I have the patterns all printed out, ready to go. I have yarns picked out for a number of them, and I didn't manage to knit any of them last year, and I really, really want to knit at least some of them this year. So that's another knitting goal. I also would like to design and publish at least one pattern this year. Now I've got a couple of patterns up on my profile page, two pairs of socks. But I want to actually design and publish a pay-for pattern, and I would like to do more than one, but I'm going to start small. And it's something I've thought about doing for a long time, and why not? I think I'm just as capable as many other people are, so that's, and I have lots of ideas, so that's a goal for this year, so watch for that. And yeah, just continue to, I have some ideas for the podcast and my website and such, so look for changes in those things also coming up this year. Been working with my brother-in-law on a new podcast banner and such, so I'm excited to see all that completed and up. So other than that, I guess I think that's enough. Don't you? Been at this for a while. I warned you it was going to be a long one, so I'm going to say goodbye and let you go. I'm sure you have much better things to be doing than listening to me natter on and on. So once again, thank you for all your support this past year, and actually during the past 2 years that I've been doing this. Thank you as always for watching, and I wish you nothing but good things for 2019. Bye. Happy New Year.